Part 3. The White Kingdom. The Kingdom of the Mind. Chapter 24. Confronting the Cruel King. All praise to the Knights Templar, for their white linens were drenched in blood, and after a deep breath out, the battle was won. The attack from the army of ignorance had ended, and the death toll was too great to count. Eyes looked over the damages that were assessed, and the casualties were taken into account. When the enemy attacked the virtue within the kingdom walls, the wickedness had no idea what it was in for. The enemy's back was turned to the dark forest, and not a single one of them survived the onslaught from the Knights Templar.
"All hail Excalibur and the true king,"
said the Knights Templar.
"My brave warrior, good lover, true king, and wise magician, we've got 6 days until the end,"
said Teresa of Avila. "Where is the Golden Maiden?"
"Look, there she rides with the old king to a neighboring kingdom,"
said one of the Knights Templar. The king had taken his own fleet and deserted the 28th kingdom that had nearly come to fall. There they rode off in the horizon, where they approached the White Kingdom's walls. But I don't understand, Teresa. How was this all connected to the maiden's tender heart? Then day by day, more pieces of our world will continue to fall apart. At once a black snake curled up around my ankle. I hadn't even noticed it a moment ago. It shook me, but the serpent appeared at home, as if it was quite comfortable.
The snake is a symbol of our highest potential. It is said that Shakti, our creative life force, lies dormant at the base of our spine in the form of a coiled snake. Regardless of whether this image rings true, it's well worth considering the amount of unawakened or untapped potential within you. What would it look like if you woke it up? How can you stir it from its slumber? Trust your intuition and heart, for it knows the way. Make haste, the snake appears when there is no time left to waste,
said Teresa of Avila. I hear you, and there is so much you understand. But long ago I was poisoned by a snake, and the further I get away from this sacred ocean, the less I recognize myself as a man.
In order to grow, our soul may need to separate itself from that which it once relied upon. Oppression will be overcome. Do not cling to what has been. Sometimes the best way to heal from the past is to cut it off completely and focus on reorientation towards a more fulfilling future. You shall know true love and freedom,
said Teresa of Avila. In the mind, my thoughts wrestled back and forth, as if all aspects of my psyche held wands against each other in a great test, and each aspect seemed certain that it alone knew which path ahead was best. Every option was a difficult conclusion, and which side of myself should I trust? But what if we can't find the way?
Then you must,
said Teresa of Avila.
There is not always a need to try to grapple and conquer. Sometimes the need is simply to let go. Just because another has created a certain reality for themselves and is attempting to draw you in, it does not mean you must participate in their ways. You have the divinely granted gift of choosing where to invest your energy. Be kind to yourself,
said Teresa of Avila. Then up in the sky, before the dawn came, I heard the sound of a mysterious bird. It arrived in an auspicious manner when everyone turned upward to see what that winged creature came to share.
The blackbird has long been considered a bird of mystery with its unique folklore. This is a messenger who often communicates through its loud and magical song. Blackbirds with their dark plumes are associated with the unseen worlds that are thought to be the gateway to the unseen reality. Blackbirds remind us that not everything is as it seems to the naked eye. This bird has called you to the unseen realms, and it encourages you to welcome the mysteries of magic of that which are not in plain sight. Allow the song of the blackbird to invite you to move beyond your usual limits and find your hidden potential. The gifts that we find in the shadows are often the greatest inspirations. All we need to do is step forward and seek what is right there in the twilight. Allow yourself to push past the original boundaries and take the journey with the blackbird. As you do, be open to the new information and opportunities that await you,
said Teresa of Avila. And what will you do? I asked the Knights Templar.
We will stay here and protect the 28th Kingdom. We await when the true king returns,
said the knight. And you? I asked Teresa of Avila.
I will stay here. This community is my home, and the people need me here in the interior castle. I don't suspect we will be under another attack. We have slayed the wicked enemy, and in time you must bring the Golden Maiden back,
said Teresa of Avila. With that, I took the horse, and we rode off to the song of the blackbird. And the further I got from the ocean, the more the fiery poison began to surge. It was so dark upon that fateful night, but Excalibur remained as an everlasting source of light, and just as the dawn emerged over the horizon, we approached the kingdom of the White. It was an enormous kingdom, and the walls were high and wide. There I waved to the two guards over the drawbridge, and they looked on from much higher in the sky. "Open the gate!" The poison in my body reached upwards, and it started to pick at my brain. A certain energy spread up my back and lingered in my shoulders, as the intensity was so worrisome that I felt the onset of rage. I could not feel a sense of grounding, but rather I felt electrically charged. How is there time to rest when it comes to the matters of the heart? And as I entered the White Kingdom, I was gifted grace when I heard a poem of relief, and so I heard the Golden Maiden whispering,
"The term of travail has ended, and you have come to yourself in some regard. The shift that was due has occurred. Now you can freely receive the world's blessings, whether that comes in material gain, your emotional life, or in the heightened sense of your own well-being. This is an alchemical moment in which understanding is transmuted from knowledge. The knowledge itself was a necessary but not sufficient condition. Now you can rejoice, having been carried across the gap by the will of heaven. Joyousness accompanies new energy, energy blocked before now. Light pierces the clouds and touches the waters, just as something lovely emerges from the depths. The soul is illuminated from within, at the meeting place of heaven and earth. There is a new clarity which may call for you to renounce existing plans, ambitions, or goals. It is proper and timely for you to do so, for this blessing is a gift of restoration of the lower self properly aligned with the higher self,
whispered the Golden Maiden. When I entered the walls of the White Kingdom, many of the soldiers that had fled the fight took note of the flaming sword, for once they had seen me as an outcast, but now they bowed in accord. I must speak with the old king. Day by day we will see increasingly ill omens. Now tell me, where must I go to find him and the Golden Maiden?
They are up at the high castle with the elders,
said the guards. The horse took off, and it was guided by its own command. It seemed to be linked into my mind while I held on to the reins in my hands. When we reached the high point, I descended from the trusted steed. I would keep the turban over the horns while I faced the king again to ensure that the world would find relief. The doors opened, and at once light filled the dark space. Candles spread what light they could, and now I found the glow of the Golden Maiden's face.
"Why have you come? You must stay with your men and defend,"
said the old king. Why would you run? The 28th Kingdom is now safe.
"You were not invited to the king's chamber. Thank you, but we mustn't be bothered, as the royal courts are planning our next steps,"
said the old king. That is why I've come. I am here to ask for the maiden's hand in marriage. The warriors you have selected could not protect the kingdom, but this sword is a true protector for all of us.
Thank you for your service, but I have chosen my daughter's husband. You may be a great warrior, but the future king must live according to my demands. You are like a wild man. You do not belong to my army nor the enemy's. So are you a mercenary? I know nothing of where you come from. And when I sent my horses out in search of a worthy husband, you were not sent back with them. Brave and courageous you may be, but there is a reason you were not among the men called. Please be gone and leave us alone,
said the old king. I am afraid I cannot go. Ask the maiden what she needs. This is a matter of the heart, and the golden maiden's decision should be made freely.
He's right, Father. This is the man I must marry,
she said.
Silence!
The old king screamed in a cruel fury.
I have chosen your husband, and he is a man I can trust. The whole land will be affected by this decision, and it matters not if he carries Excalibur or a blade covered in rust,
said the cruel king. But there must be a way. This war is a sign of ill omens. What must I do to take the golden maiden's hand in marriage? The king was discontent, and he fidgeted in his seat. Then a couple court officials whispered in his ears as they considered ideas the cruel king would refuse to believe. Then came a man who emerged out of the darkest corner, and this man had a hunch and was covered in boils. His hair was barely there, as only a few long strands covered his head as he inched closer, while the king's mind was caught in a wicked toil. When the cruel king noticed this strange man, he quickly waved him over. The king shooed away the royal court, and now there was only the strange man's voice which whispered in the king's ear. I watched the strange man reach into his pocket, where his unusual fingers disappeared. A moment later, I caught sight of a few dice, and now the king smiled in such a bizarre fashion as if his moods embodied a particular weird.
We'll play dice for the decision, and that way you have a chance,
said the king. Not a moment later, I heard the golden maiden's telepathic mind stream say,
Don't do it. Those dice are cursed, so it's not what it seems.
Now the poison within extended and spread throughout my body as a tunnel vision began to grow. This pulsation of madness crept over my heart when a certain neurosis seemed to be chaining me to the hell realm deep below. I need a minute.
Fine, only a minute or two, but once you come back, we'll let the dice decide what we must do,
said the cruel king. As I walked outside the highest door, air entered my lungs while I gazed upon the morning sun. I could barely see where my duty lied, and so I thought back to the wound I suffered where this all began. The bite mark throbbed, and I could not see the distant ocean. Even the relief of the golden maiden's voice could not overpower the onset of another toxic implosion. As I found myself alone upon one knee, the golden maiden ran over to me.
Don't do it. Those dice are cursed. That strange man is a black magician. He holds control over the demonic forces that are enforced,
said the golden maiden. But what choice do we have? I cannot reason with your father, yet I know there is hope, and so we must choose to place our faith in trust and honor. I have a pair of magical flint stones, and as I was granted 3 wishes, I still have 1 left. If the dice are cursed, then that which is a curse can shift and emerge as that which is blessed.
Are you sure?
Said the golden maiden. When I look in your eyes, I believe in fate. Nothing my words say can plan our marriage or our escape. I believe that white magic will always overcome the dark mage, and so we must trust that true love will always find its way. And so I dashed the flint together when the magic spark came to life, and there I felt the presence of the ancient sage Merlin before our eyes. Merlin the mage, the great and wise sage, I dashed your flint together, so please listen carefully so that you may hear what this third wish has come to say. May the powers of good never succumb to the powers of evil. May true love surpass all wickedness, so that the land will flourish with prosperity and wisdom. And may you guide and protect all beings, especially the Golden Maiden and I, so that the true king will inherit and protect all kingdoms." With that the fire flashed, and it disappeared into thin air. A dove fluttered up to the battlement stones, as if aware of the message which embodied a divine prayer.
We will trust in the Lord God with all our hearts, and lean not on our own understanding. In all our ways we will submit to him, and he will make our paths straight,"
said the Golden Maiden. Then we rose to return to the door, where I whispered to the lover, "What do you know about dice? What should I know about your father?"
"They will roll the dice, and you'll have to pick odd or even,"
she said. "And what would you pick?"
"As long as my father has been king, his laws have never been just or even, and so when it comes to the hope in my heart, it is the odd ways of the unicorn that I believe in,"
she said. The doors opened, and we entered the room as I gazed upon the king, whose face now held a dark smile of doom. "What are the rules?"
If you win, it's simple. You take my daughter's hand in marriage, and by doing so, in time, you will be the rightful heir to the entire kingdom. But if I win,"
the king paused. "Then what?"
"I want everything. You'll give up your sword to me. Then you'll remove your turban and bow to my feet. Not only that, but you will live a cruel fate, and so your soul will be thrown to the pit of darkness, where your body and mind will be cast as you suffer on repeat. From then on you will be cursed. You will call no place home, and you will not see my daughter. On top of that, any time you find the slightest agitation, you will see red, as you will be a prisoner of your own worst anger and terror. For the place where you will end up will be the bottom of the underworld. This will be the place you belong, and so you will be left alone to never return. Upon a minute of our time will last for 100 years at the center of the earth, and while we live up here, you will be connected to the sensitivity of all the people's pain that hurts. People will never again see you as a man, but rather they will regard you as a terrible beast. And the longer you live, the more your life will reverse and decrease. The longer it goes on, the more you will become like a child, until the earth swallows you whole. And so, in time, your entire life will be reversed, until your own wickedness destroys such an appalling curse,"
said the king. "Would it be better to die?"
"It would. But this is what you must be willing to offer and sacrifice. If you truly have love for such an exquisite golden maiden, then pick odd or even, and so we'll add the total after one roll with 3 dice,"
said the king. "For a king who is not fair, then I will make sure he gets what's even. I pick odd, and in time, we all must face our own demons." He snarled and scoffed at such an idea.
"Fine. Then everyone here has heard this man's word. He's agreed, so good luck in hell, and I do look forward to ruling the entire earth with Excalibur,"
said the cruel king. He rolled the dice, and everyone waited until the 3 die were set. Our eyes gazed down, and there the result came. 6, 6, 6.
"Aha! I win! Good luck as you depart my kingdom,"
said the king. That strange man rubbed his fingers with a wicked void in his eyes. Why had I believed in magic? Now not even mercy would allow my body to die. 666. Is it 18?
"Chain him up now. He is our prisoner,"
exclaimed the cruel king, and so I fell onto my knees before the Golden Maiden, as I felt as if I'd forsaken her. They tried to take my sword from my hands, but they could not carry the flames, and so I dropped it when they began dousing it with water. But still the flames remained. Now came the chains, and so they shackled my wrists and ankles in rusty iron. They took everything I had while my mind went mad, and I could not fathom what was happening, for this twist of fate was beyond what my mind could understand.
It's not fair,
Screamed the maiden.
Yes, it is, my dear. You saw the dice,
Said the king.
but you're a liar.
She said.
How?
It is a game of numbers, and we must contemplate numerology. The total of 666 is 18, and so if we add up the totality, then we seek the sum of 8 plus 1. We get a final result of 9.
The golden maiden paused.
That's an odd number. He belongs married to me.
Forget that. The dice shows 18, and the result is even. Now prepare the ship, and we're taking this man on his next adventure to the bottom of the ocean.
Said the cruel king.